What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Free Coffee. My name's Rob Riley. Kelvin McChesney is behind the camera, and today we're welcomed by a guest, Kevin Losani. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, Rob. Free Coffee is the name of the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm such an idiot. I bought coffee before I came here.
Dude, we have the coffee.
I was going to text Calvin, too, and I was just like, I was already at the gas station, so I got some really disgusting coffee in a awful styrofoam container, which goes against my ethos of environmentalism. So I'm a little bit of a hypocrite right now.
I see you got the reusable water bottle.
Yeah, I carry that faithfully. I try to keep zero plastic, very minimal waste in my life. And like I said, this is like sounds so funny as I'm drinking out of I hate styrofoam. So it's like having this in my hand sort of like triggers me a little bit. I should have texted Calvin, but yeah.
Dude, so one of the things I really love about this podcast and being able to have these discussions is this right now. I've never met you. We're just having our first discussion live on the pod. I get to know you, right? Obviously, you're friends with Kelvin, but you and me, we're going to have a real organic conversation. I'm going to get to meet you. We're going to get to learn all about you. So if you could, for me and for the audience, could you give us a non-humble introduction to who you are?
Yeah, I mean, my name's Kevin. I am a badass, edgy, hardworking, visual genius and mad scientist. I make movies. I've been making video and music content for about 20 years. I'm very much into philosophy. Oh, nice. I gravitate toward that must be the Greek in me. I don't know where that comes from, but I love, I'm just really interested in human beings and life and how things work, which I think is pretty ordinary, but and I also meander and I trail off in my thoughts a lot.
That works out really well. That's my job, right? It's while we're here, it's going to be like pick and probe and get you to say things and then kind of just try to bring it back in and then go a different way. So this will be fun. No, I think it's really cool. And honestly, I think a lot of the stuff, not to be like super hippy dippy, but it's kind of like a lot of fate goes into like meeting people and having these discussions, because on this pod, we talk a lot about environmentalism. We had a 3-hour-long environmentalism super pod with different students and people who study in environmentalism. And I know you were discussing that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Personally, I don't necessarily study philosophy, but I'm a fan of it. I took some classes in college. I have meditations on my wall here.
Awesome.
So no, it's super cool. So born and raised Central New York?
Auburn, yeah.
Okay.
The Burn for all my Auburnians out there.
What was childhood like for you? Suburban neighborhood, city kid? What was it like?
Rural. So right outside of Auburn, I had a backyard on a highway, cars whizzing by. Our house was really close to the road. So when I think about growing up and sleeping, I just think about the cars going by. But so it was nice. Great neighbors, had close neighbors, and my best friend to this day was my next door neighbor that I've known since I could conceive life, and we're still friends to this day, which is like that's like a badge of honor. I'm really into long-term relationships and keeping them, and like having long friends, not having like. So if I ever meet someone like, oh yeah, like oh, we're like best friends, right? We're best friends. We're so tight. I'm like, how long you been friends for? They're like a couple years, and I'm like, kind of get judgy and be like, that's not even long. You know what I mean? It's just because when you build relationships, things get tough. And I'm not romantically, platonically, family, blood, non-blood. It's like you're always gonna hit tough times. You're always gonna have friction, and every time you get to one of those tests and you can overcome that, your relationship gets stronger. So time is a really good indicator of how strong of a friendship you have with somebody. And I don't know, I like I said, I wear that as a badge of honor. I like keeping friends and building and, having fights and getting over them.
So that begs the question then, like me, I had, I grew up in a suburban street, had friends up and down the street.
Yeah.
And really have grown apart from my childhood friends. Just different interests, different paths.
Sure.
I moved away for a little bit, came back. when you're talking about, you've built these friendships and now it's conscious, right? Like you're trying to build these and maintain and sustain these relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, we're diving right into it right here, but how do you go about sort of keeping that in touch and not breaking relationships? Like having a best friend since childhood is really hard, I think, because you go through all those changes, you grow, you grow apart, you grow back together. What's that process look like for you? Is it do you do it purposefully, or is it just kind of happen for you?
Well, now, I obviously take it more consciously now, and I'm more aware of it. And with this particular friend I'm talking about, my neighbor, we're definitely different. We have different paths. He's like I said, I'm a big filmmaker, production guy. He has nothing to do with that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But I think we share such a strong bond and a shared childhood, because those younger years of your life and you're developing, it really makes you who you are. I think there are some psychological facts that by the time you're up, I think at age 7 is when you really get your built-in natural characteristics of who you are.
Really?
Yeah, and fact check me on that, but I've heard that before. I've heard something because it's always it's like the nature versus nurture argument, right? How much of our personalities are from our surroundings and how we were brought up, and how much are they just literally built in, hardwired into us from, genetics or whatever, however that stuff's made. So anyway, we have that together, and it's just honestly, at the end of the day, you got to think about, if you're in a ditch, face down, no money, and you had one phone call, or who are you gonna call? You know what I mean? And that's one of those things, and he's always gonna be that guy I can call. You know what I mean? No matter what. And listen, we've had hard times in our life, and we've had many fights, and it's just always just but so I don't know, I'm backing up a little bit. When you're you have a friend, and there's kind of that period of time where you're walking around eggshells. You don't want to call them out. You don't know. You don't want to create friction. You get to a point with certain people when you've been friends for so long that doesn't matter. I could say whatever I want to them, and we know it's not there's that shield and that defense kind of just gets shut down. And you know what I mean? I could be real with him and call him out on some bullshit, and likewise, and we wouldn't be all sensitive and you can't say that to me, you're hurting my feelings. Okay, I understand this is coming from a place of love. We've known each other for so long, and I think it takes time to get to that level with a friend. So yeah, man, building long-term relationships is cool.
So you're from Auburn, right?
Yeah.
Rural suburban area, you said?
Yep.
When did your first creative path start to show through? Obviously you're a very creative person. When did that start to happen? Was there some early inspirations in your life? And take us through what that looked like for young Kevin.
Yeah, sure. So I definitely watched a lot of movies growing up, and I remember distinctly a film that I watched when I was probably around the age of 8 or 9, maybe 10, somewhere in that range. It was Taxi Driver.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's really young to be watching Taxi Driver. Me and my dad were watching it. For some reason, my dad was pretty cool about me just watching. He wasn't, I wasn't guarded from the world too much. You know what I mean? Where it's and even though my dad less than my mom probably would have never let me watch that, but I just remember watching that movie. I can literally see myself on the couch right now, looking at myself, and at the end of the film realizing the impact a movie can have on somebody, and being what is going, what the f is happening to me right now? Oh my God, something is changing in me, and I don't know why. And this motion picture did it to me, and I knew something was happening, but I didn't know why, obviously. So I think that was one of the first moments in my life where I realized the impact of film and maybe just art in general. And another thing I remember, I was always gravitated toward camcorders, and I would always film our family parties with the VHS recorder, and I would make, film me, and I would just I had fun with it. And like I said, it wasn't because I had any ulterior motives. It was just pure, I like to do this.
Yeah. Mom or dad wasn't into videography?
No arts at all. My parents were not artistic. I don't want to say not artistic, but they weren't in the arts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think we sort of narrow the term arts, like we just think of it as like, okay, painting, just making films, music, where, well, you know, I think a carpenter is an artist. I think other things that you wouldn't categorize as the arts are truly arts, you know? So anyway, that's a whole nother discussion. But no, my parents were not very, my dad was a big baseball fan, and a good baseball player, a baseball coach for 25 years. So that was another aspect of my life. I was literally playing baseball as early as I can, you know, I could, and I played until I was 18, and I was, you know, pretty good. And that so as I was growing up, I kind of had these divergent paths of like had my artist side, my music and filmmaking gravitation, and then, you know, my dad kind of, you know, putting me into baseball and the sports, and slowly like the baseball drifted off, and I was like, I have to make a decision, like, am I going to do this one or this one? And I ultimately chose making videos.
When did that happen? What age was it that you think about?
I would say it officially, like, I remember the decision when I quit the varsity baseball team when I was a senior. I was a senior, right? Yeah, junior or senior. And it led up to that moment, but that was like, you know, the moment where it was like, this is it, it's over. And I just remember like telling the coach right on the field, like not before the game, like there was a little petty argument where he didn't put me, he put somebody else in, and I was like, I'm quitting.
Yeah. Like, what am I doing here?
Yeah. It just like, I should have done this a long time ago. And you know, it's like anything in life, you know, something's going to happen, but you keep going until it's till the breaking point.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, this is crazy because obviously you're just meeting me for the first time. I played varsity soccer, or I played soccer all the way up to varsity.
Yep.
And through that time, I had started different clothing companies. I had gotten into graffiti. I'd gotten into like art. And my senior year, I didn't play. I played varsity my junior year, and then I stopped to pursue creating a clothing brand. And that clothing company ended up becoming part of the business that's here now.
Oh, wow.
You walked past on the way in, I'm not sure if you saw it, like the screen printing area and setup.
Yeah.
So that was the business that I created for the past couple of years, brought that over to the family business here. But it's just funny, like how literally same kind of story.
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was? I know you said you had a little tisk or fight, but what was it about the creative avenue versus the athletic avenue that really drew you to it? Was it just the emotions you were talking about earlier, like that sort of thing?
Are you asking what led to the decision, or how I kind of figured it out?
What led to you making the split towards the creative avenue versus saying, I like being an athlete, I'm going to go athletic, that sort of side?
Well, I think it just came down to it had to be one or the other, because they both demanded so much time and attention. And one was telling me that I loved to do it. And like, I did like playing baseball. It was fun. I don't think back like, oh my God, I was forced to play and I hated it. And it wasn't like that. But I really, you know, going back to the early days, like I think I was just more naturally inclined to do, like it felt effortless, where baseball, there was more like I had to try, and I was kind of, it's like going to work, you know what I mean? I got to go and I got to do this, a little bit of a begrudging aspect of it, you know? So yeah, and then it was just like, I can't do both of these. This one is, I'm not liking the person who I am when I'm doing this. I'm obviously unhappy, and I got to make a decision. I can't do both. So one had to go.
Understood.
Yeah.
At what point did your videos and your, you know, just holding mom or dad's camcorder and shooting family videos turn into trying to actually create meaningful content?
Yeah, definitely. So there was definitely a turning point in my life when I was about 15. And I was in 9th grade, and I was in English class, and my English teacher was from Brooklyn. Great guy, Mr. Fabian, literally a life changer. He was one of those teachers, I'm sure, you know, you guys have one or two in your life that, like, he changed everything. He changed the game for me, because he brought in a video production class to my high school. You know, I went to this little high school that didn't have any of this stuff. I never had these tools available. I mean, I had cameras, but I never had, he introduced me video editing software. So basically, he's like, I got these computers. He's like, you put your video in this computer, and then you can look at the clips, and you can cut them, and you can make it. And I was just like, what? this is awesome, because before that I was literally I was making videos, but I was literally editing. I was doing them almost like how you would do TikTok or Snapchat style today, where I had my camcorder and I'd film a scene. I'd be like, all right, this is going to be the first take. You're going to sit on this couch. You're going to say this line. Okay, boom, boom, cut. Here's the next tape. And I would edit it as I was shooting it. So I'd have to rewind the tape back and get to the cut point.
Oh my God.
Insane. Yeah. Then I didn't. And then he brought this video editing software. And then I literally fell in love. And I was like, I would skip my study halls. I would skip lunch, and I would just be in there all the time on that computer. And I made my first like real movie, like a 30-minute movie, in that class. And then that's when he made me believe in myself, because I loved doing it. But then when I got closer to becoming a senior, and you're like, have to think about what you're going to do with your life, he sat down and told me, and he looked me straight in the eye, and it was very sincere. He's like, I think you can do this. Because he had a background in video production, and he, even though he was our English teacher, I think he'd worked in the industry, and he's from New York, and this is like, so the city guys telling me that I have a shot, and it made me believe in myself for sure. And I haven't looked back since. I've been still doing it, and it's been a crazy journey.
Was there any pushback from like your inner circle to like not go that route and pursue something more traditional, or was it pretty supportive?
It was pretty supportive, thankfully. Yeah, my parents have always supported me, and they've been I've been fortunate with my parents. They guide me, they direct me, but they've never like came down on me like authoritarian wise, saying like, or made me feel guilty about it. And other people, but my close peeps, no.
Yeah.
No. And I was pretty naive thinking, I've learned how it's tough.
Yeah.
Like it chews you up, man, and it's difficult to hang in this business.
Oh, I'm sure. It's crazy to think that one person can change somebody's life trajectory so much.
Totally.
Do you think you want to, maybe in the way future, but do you ever think like that person changed my life so much, I'd love to do that for somebody else, or like teach in the future?
I wouldn't want to teach. I don't like teaching. I don't think I'm a good teacher. I've taught, like I've had some little experience in teaching, and oftentimes I feel, I don't know what it is about it. I don't know if it's a patience thing or if it's just, I don't know.
Well, it's like
a selfish thing.
It's like the creative. It's a whole different art, right?
It
like
is.
Teaching.
It is.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's a whole different level to that. But I think you're dead on when you say most people have had that experience with one teacher, one or two that have like really made a difference or changed. Even some in the negative way, like that one teacher that really changed them in a negative direction, like put them down, like the bad teachers. But I think there's something to be said for good teachers that actually can do something like that and change somebody like you and put you on the path that you're on now.
Yeah.
So what did high school, right? So in high school, you're told, you can do this, you should pursue this, and you believe in yourself. What's the next step look like for you? Like what step did you make?
So yeah, I was a couple things. I'll just back up. In high school, I definitely got really into music. So leading up until my early 20s, I was sort of shifting back and forth between music and filmmaker. Like, do I want to be a filmmaker? Do I want to go this musician route? I was in this pretty fun, a popular rap group when I was from 16 to 21-ish. And we were a comedy sort of sketch crew. Okay. And we did very fun albums, and I listen to them today, and it's like, obviously there's a little bit of a cringe factor because but I think it's cool. You know what I mean? I thought it was cool what we were doing. It was like, and I remember spending a lot of time in studios and writing and working and learning and drum lessons and teaching myself piano, and then learning how to sequence and track music, mix music. I always had a studio in my room, like in my bedroom, and it reminds me of another instance I had where like me and my brother were having a house party when my parents were away one time, and it was like it feels like a scene out of a movie. But I remember I was in my room and a couple friends were in there. One of my brother's friends was in there, and I was kind of down on myself and like questioning, if I could do, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and I'm just like, I just want to, I want to do this. I want to make music and create. And my drunk friend was just like, are you looking around right now? Like, you're doing it, you know what I mean? Like, this is what you're doing. Like, this isn't normal to have all the right here in your bedroom. And it was another like moment I won't forget of like, yeah, you know, it's because when you're hard on yourself, it's like, it's a double-edged sword, right? It's good to be a perfectionist. It's good to like challenge yourself and bully yourself a little bit, but then there gets to a point where it's just like you're being too negative, you know?
You still battle with that today, or is that something? Okay.
Oh yeah. It's like, yeah, you know, feeling worthy and, you know, being good enough, because like there's so many talented people and things happening out there. The world's so big, and you can definitely feel small, you know, and insignificant.
Yeah. So how do you combat that? What have you learned? Because you've obviously been doing this for a while now.
Yeah, it's still a work in progress, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't have the magic bullet solution for it, but it's just, yeah, you got to like, you know, it's just erasing what other people think and doing, you know, I hate this, you know, I hate the phrase like I'm just gonna do me, and like I think you need to have self-awareness, but I think you have to I don't know, I guess I still don't know the answer.
Yeah,
you know,
balance it and fight it as it comes, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Interesting. So your music production side of things,
yes,
did that come into your life in the same sort of way, or was there an influence? Like, did you feel the same sort of way about music as you did that film can make you feel a certain way? Yeah,
totally. I think music's second right there as far as like the hierarchy of art impact, or you know, yeah, music's amazing, dude. Yeah, well, that was kind of more my peers' influence, to be honest with you. I had friends that were really good musicians, and we all skateboarded, and like kind of very very cliche, but and then that kind of skateboard group sort of developed into this rap music group, fun group. And they were like, I had one of my best friends, he like kind of took me under his wing at the time, and, you know, brought me into this, like, kind of vouched for me to get me into the music group. And I was definitely started at the bottom. I was probably the least talented person involved, like music wise. And yeah, just got really into it. It was just so much fun, because what we were doing was it was a lot of fun. And that's like a lot of what I love to do as a creator, is just fun, you know?
Do you think going through that and like learning that sort of stuff has helped you with now your video production?
100%.
What kind of stuff like works together? I know like a lot, but like,
yeah,
what did you really take away from those years that you used maybe more often than you thought you would?
I think the music helped me a lot in the editing, because editing is like is like a visual rhythm. Like, I don't know if you ever just like watch the film with the sound off, but there's almost like a rhythm to the cuts and to the sequencing of images. And I think like building those music skill sets at such a young age, rhythm, you know, ear training, and but more rhythm. I'll stick to rhythm. I think that really helped me as an editor have like a pacing. Because editing is the storytelling is a lot about pacing. And I definitely have done a lot of music videos, and I think that kind of puts me ahead of the curve as a music video editor, being a musician, you know. So
yeah, that definitely seems unique.
In music, and music is such, and sound in general is such a huge component of films and videos. So always having that under my belt was always like, I thought always an advantage. Because I've worked with a lot of people in film and video that don't have a sound editing music background, or, you know, they're just like more visual. And I've always felt that definitely set me, and there's like more people like that, but it definitely puts you in a different category.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No, that's fascinating, because looking back, you know, I was a kid, like real bad ADD. I had so many different hobbies growing up, right? All these different little things. You know, I fiddle in video editing and that sort of stuff. I wanted to do that for a while, but I would just edit me and my friends like skateboard videos. Yep. And now looking back, I'm like, wow, having that skill and having the ability to maybe do that if I need to, and learning how video editing maybe should work at a very basic level, not anything like what you do, but, you know, at a very basic level, and taking skills like that. It's crazy how I've grown, and skills like that have kind of gone with me and influenced other things and other avenues. So I just find it interesting, because when I talk to especially kids like in high school who are trying to figure it out, I think a lot of them are really stuck on the idea that they got to like know instantly. Yeah. They got to really know. But I kind of tell them like, look, whatever you spend your time doing, just get really good at, like, give it your best shot. Yeah. In worst case scenario, you'll just have a skill that you can take with you to like the next thing. Do you kind of agree with that looking back? Like,
yeah, I would just add to that. You're gonna have to make shitty stuff too, and own it.
We're going through that right now with the podcast.
You got to do it, man.
Yeah.
And like I've made so many bad videos, bad songs that like are cringe, and it's just like you got to stay. And like I see a lot of people, or I've seen a lot of people, not want to release stuff. You know, like people that I've worked with, peers that like, I'm working on this thing, but I'm not going to release it, or I'm not going to. And it's like, you never know. Like and it's happened to me the opposite. There are things that I thought that were terrible, and I've released it, and it was like amazing. People loved it, or ended up becoming like a monumental or like a beacon of something of my breadth of work. And it's just like other things I thought were going to be great, not so good. You know what I mean? But I think there's a bravery and a courage that you need as an artist to just put it out, take the hits, get some bad feedback, get criticism.
Yeah.
It's important, and I think that's a huge part of the development process of becoming more skilled at what you do in anything.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff. So you then are house parties, you're just having fun, you're making music, you're making videos.
Yeah.
At what point did it like start to get serious? Like this could be a career, this is like actually happening. Was there a moment in your life where it went from like, I think I can do this to like, oh shit, I'm doing it?
Yeah.
Was there that point?
Yeah, there was definitely some growing pains. So I just to fill you in on a couple quick details. After I got out of high school, I did like a part-time year college thing at a community college because I wanted to focus on just working, making music, and like I said, I was taking drum lessons and making films, but I was still doing some college classes like your typical math, science, and a couple telecommunications classes. Because I was still under that torn between music, film. What do I do? And I was actually taking music classes, and then I decided I was going to go to this music school in Toronto. It's just like this institute. It's called the Trebas Institute, and it's just like a year and a half all around inclusive program where it's all music. It's music theory, ear training, engineering, producing. It's like DJ classes, like just everything under the audio umbrella, ear training. And that was a good decision because at that time I was debating on going to Ithaca College, which I had been accepted to, and I had another, Berkeley, the music college in Boston. I loved that school. I wanted to go there, but I ultimately decided to go to this little, obscure school in Toronto because it was cheaper. And I think I didn't want to become $100,000 in debt.
Yeah.
And it was a good decision.
Well, crazy you say that because I moved back 3 months ago, maybe a little bit less than that. I lived in Ithaca. My girlfriend's a music student at Ithaca College. So she's up there. We lived there for a while. Ithaca is incredible, but I'm curious to know how you feel about going to school for a creative like venture like that. Like obviously I know you said it was worth it, but traditionally, like if somebody doesn't get into it, like a 1.5 year program like that, if somebody went to a 4-year film or a 4-year music school, what are your thoughts in like regards to that? Like, how do you feel about traditional teaching with like creative arts?
I wouldn't advise it, but I don't think I know I wouldn't advise it. That's just my opinion. And the reason being is, especially today, in today's day and age, where like information is so accessible and you have so many online courses and you can teach yourself, I don't think a traditional institution like that is the best, the best avenue to build those skill sets. This is just strictly speaking, filmmaking, music. I think that community is great to have. Like you're going to meet a lot of good people, and I think some of the professors will be very impactful and smart and help you out. Because I had professors in Toronto that definitely changed my life that were great too. In the same way as my that high school teacher that were amazing people, but again, that's a little bit of an anomaly because I wasn't spending $1,000 or $100,000 to go there. Like, and you're talking about like an Ithaca or a Syracuse or like out in California or somewhere, UCLA. That's what I was trying to say. Out in California somewhere. What's that school called? USC, UCLA. Yeah, man. I just think that money could be. I'm thinking about it from a strategic investment standpoint, where I think that money would be better spent in different like. for me, the best experience I've had. So let me get to the next part of my story, which is when I moved down to New York City. There is where I really cut my teeth and learned stuff being a freelancer, like lower end, bottom of the totem pole type stuff, production assistant, sound recordist, sound editor, video editor for small projects, literally small indie projects. That's where I really learned my filmmaking, producing skills. You know what I mean? How to actually make a movie. You know what I mean? I think I think something like that's more valuable, or just doing it yourself, getting the camera, watching a ton of movies, you know, going on YouTube and, you know, doing the, like, I've countless hours of tutorials, Jesus, but only that takes you so far. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you do got to get out there and get your hands dirty and
mess some stuff up.
Yeah, 100%. So I think the institutions, those like classical institutions for the arts, not into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I'm not trying to down anybody that's done that and that who there's obviously some very talented people, way more talented than me, that have gone that route and it works. That's not my phone, right? Yeah.
No, I'm not sure.
Okay. I hope I wasn't the guy.
Turned on Do Not Disturb, but
Huh?
I turned on Do Not Disturb on your computer.
Just turn the volume all the way down on the computer.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Okay, so it was my computer going.
But
interesting. No,
I can't think. So another thing is I can't think of one of my, I don't know. I don't want to say idol. Idol's a strong word, but people that I look up to, and people that I love, as far as I can't think of one of them that went that route either, that I look up to and love, because I also think it does. You're less edgier if you go that route. If you go the institutional route, as in if you come from like,
the streets.
The streets. Yeah, just coming out.
You like come out as like a cog of the machine sort of deal.
Yeah, well, you know what it is too. It's like like I said, I've worked on a lot of these sets as just, a regular crew member, and you can immediately tell the film school people from the non-film school people, and
interesting.
Just by the difference? Vernacular, and like a lot of the protocols and stuff they say. Like I'll be trying to say something, and they'll be like, when you turn on a light, you're supposed to say striking.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it gets very.
And it's like, this is the real world. Like, this is not a test. Like, we're trying to make good stuff here.
And it's not it's not what's really important about making a movie either. It's not this like what the protocols are. And now listen, there's got to be structure, and obviously, and there's got to be operations involved, and someone's got to run those operations to make the damn movie. But when it's coming to art and something that's like. Visceral and telling a great story, that stuff is very insignificant, more insignificant, I think.
Interesting. So going back to your New York City, you said you went to New York and you kind of cut your teeth there.
Yeah.
Any good like freelance like experiences or stories, like crazy stuff that might have happened that really like shaped you or taught you something? Any good experiences there?
I'm trying to think of something specific, but I mean, for overall, I met some lasting friends and connection in my early years there, because I got there in 2008, and it took me. I didn't get my first real my first job, my production job, where I was getting paid good money and I was doing what I wanted to do. Was I got hired as a video editor for a sports website called Bleacher Report.
Oh, okay.
I know I say that now because they're so damn popular, but
they're huge.
I was their second video editor they ever hired.
Holy
so
hell.
when I think of Bleacher,
like startup.
Yeah, I got involved during their startup era. So when I think Bleacher Report, I think of the startup Bleacher Report. I don't think of the huge. They've become they're massive now. So it's funny. I had to catch myself how I said that. But so that was like at the end of 2011. So there was like 3 years where I was getting beat.
Well, I was going to say 2008 to 2010, you're working through a financial crisis too.
Yeah.
And as a creative, it's hard enough to make ends meet anyway.
Yeah.
That had to be devastating.
Yeah, I was getting crushed. I mean, I remember I had a job at Guitar Center for a while. I was, I did a really, really, really small stint as a host at this restaurant on Central Park South. That was a funny experience. I ended up getting fired from that job because I was writing ideas down at the host stand. So, I was writing down like film, video, and things, ideas, and the guy who owned caught me one time doing it, and yeah, it was funny. But then I ended up getting a job at a non-for-profit film center where I became a projectionist and a theater manager for this little art house in Westchester County, and that was an awesome experience actually. And that was, I really love that. I really love that time in my life because I wasn't working professionally in the industry. I was still doing freelance stuff, like for like really small and stuff, helping people out with their indie films and, you know, meeting people or doing like little web series and editing my own things and my own projects. But I had this really cool group of friends that we just, you know, and it was a cool art house. So we had these cool special events where filmmakers would come and we'd show all these kind of like really cool indie films. That's
awesome.
And yeah, it was amazing. I'm still friends and working with a lot of the guys there today, but that kind of was actually a lifesaver for me. It didn't pay great, but it paid just enough to where I could keep a roof over my head and eat, you know? And it was a cool place to be, right? I wasn't working some soul crushing job. And like, yeah, I could have maybe been a waiter or done something else, made a lot more money, but that would have sucked.
What kind of stuff were you making during that time frame? Was your content like reflective of what you were going through, or was it like your central stuff? Like,
yeah, during that time I was making some crazy films, and I was working on a cartoon show actually. That it was just self-produced with a couple of friends, a couple animators, and me, and I went down to New York with that project because I knew I was going to move down to the city and not know anybody, and I wanted to keep doing stuff with only having to rely on me and maybe a couple other people. So I was like, why don't I do this animation? And I met somebody down there who was an animator. We're still like best friends to this day. You know what I mean? That was over 10 years ago. But yeah, so I did that, and that was like, I learned some valuable lessons in that experience about thinking ahead. And when I was making that project, the formatting of it, I wasn't thinking where the technology and where attention spans and where content viewing was going. So let me give you an example. Nowadays, like if I could go back, I would have just done like really short, snackable episodes, like a minute, 2 minutes long, and had done a ton of them. Well, we did a 24-minute episode and 2 12-minute episodes, and it took us so long to do this. And, you know, it didn't really go anywhere. It's still like on YouTube. You could watch it, and it's like, it's just nothing, you know. But I learned the old Wayne Gretzky saying where it's like, don't chase the puck, go where the puck's going to be. And I didn't do that. And I just like, it was, I don't want to say it was a waste of time, but man, I spent so much time on that project, years, like nights, all long nights. And I'm trying to, you know, you kind of think like, was the juice worth the squeeze? And it was in a lot of aspects, but if I could go back, I would have definitely changed my thinking on that.
So if you could go back, you would have aimed for shorter content.
Yeah.
Like, but how now today's day and age, what are you seeing as like, are you doing that now? Are you looking forward and saying, all right, is it changing now? Are you shooting content for the future?
No, I guess I haven't learned my lesson. No, right now I have my big passion project is a horror film, and I'm almost done with it. It's basically a love letter to early 80s, late 70s creature grindhouse horror films. And I got into that for a couple reasons. It's a collaboration with a producer friend of mine who's also a creature prosthetics gore creator. He's like top level, like amazing, does amazing work. He shoots all on film. He only shoots 16 millimeters. So talking about the future, right?
Yeah.
It literally went going backwards, making a movie that's like, the idea is you're supposed to watch this film and like think it was made in like the late 70s, but it's amazing. It's like like I said, it's like an ode or honoring that. And also like I wanted to try, I'm not even like really a big horror fan, but I wanted to do a horror film because there's such a built-in indie niche audience for it. And I thought it would be a good move to kind of get some recognition in film festivals, or at least maybe kind of help me get to the next level and get some exposure. And like I said, the opportunity to work with this guy and his crew and was beneficial because that's something that's way out of my purview, and to have that. So a lot of that was strategic, and it's been a battle. I've been working on it for 2 years. It's almost done, just on and off, along with other work projects, and it's just been the hardest thing in the world.
I can't imagine this year's made it very easy to create.
No, yeah, it's been tough. Yeah, we just in November we were shooting, and I feel like I'm still recovering from it, you know. But yeah, it's interesting. But I am sort of in like going back to this whole philosophy about where things are going and where I want to focus my attention. I'm still thinking about it. I'm transitioning. I'm just trying to get my slate clean, and just a couple projects I just need to get done, and then I can kind of start looking forward and figure out what the next project's going to be. But it's just been crazy, man. Like another thing with the whole cell phone, 10 years, social media, all of our eyes on screens age is like video, content creating we're in like the gold rush of content creating. There's so much to do, so many paths, so much opportunity, and it's exciting, but it's overwhelming because, you want to like, oh, I want to do this. Like I kind of, for like the past 10 years of my life, I've really dabbled in a lot of different forms, video-wise, filmmaking-wise, like from documentaries, from films, from sketch comedy to commercial work. The worst. I know I don't want to do commercial work. I've definitely figured that out. But so yeah, it's or just doing social media content, you know, like cool GIFs or Zach King special effect type things. Like, there's so many spaces you can. I don't know where I want to focus my energy on next is what I'm trying to say, and it's just it's overwhelming with the opportunities.
Were you in 2011 working with Bleacher Report? Did you get a taste of like doing some social media stuff? Were you doing more long form stuff? Was that different for you? And what was that atmosphere like?
Yeah, it was cool, man. The first thing I started doing, I'll never forget it. Like one of my first days on the job, I was like, got at my computer desk, sitting in front of my iMac, and then like this producer just comes up, drops like a handful of memory cards on my desk. It's like, all right, import this and see what you can do. Like literally no direction. It was just like, and I'm looking at this footage, I'm like, all right, I could. I just cutting some. Yeah, it was like such an experimental era, and age, because we're just getting into this digital content, the digital content boom. It was, still in the birth years, but it was cool. Like, yeah, I started off doing a lot of short form, just sports video type stuff. I worked on this cool morning show where it was. What was it called? It was called BR5. And basically what it was, it makes me laugh because it's so funny. If anyone who knows me during this time, they would laugh just hearing that BR5. But it was a fun show. It was basically, there was 5 topics, 5 sports stories. I had to get in at like 4 or 5 a.m. And they were written from like almost like a Daily Show type of style. Like, okay. So there was comedy, but there was, trending stories. And a lot of the editing was either using video they shot or like using stock footage or stock photos and animating photos. So my animation skills that I had built up doing that cartoon show got put to the test, and were useful. So I was doing a lot of Photoshop cutting out, and like, you'd have like, little like South Park type, like, or Terry Gilliam. I don't know if you're familiar with Monty Python animation type stuff.
Okay.
And that was for like my first year on the job. And then I started doing more stuff. But then I did eventually, a couple of years into the job, start doing human interest stories, documentaries. Like I got a shot to do like a documentary with this one of the producers there. It went really well. I edited it, and they're like, we want to do more of these. And then that kind of evolved into me producing and shooting. And by the end of it, it was really cool. I was just primarily a sports human interest story documentary producer, shooter, editor, and did a lot.
Just checking them all off there.
Just do the triple threat, we called it, the triple threat. But yeah, it was great, man, and I had a lot of cool stories, and that kind of put me into my documentary phase where I left Bleacher Report in 2015 to work for a website called Elite Daily.
Okay.
You familiar with Elite Daily?
I'm not.
Okay, cool. That's good. No, but one of my friends from Bleacher Report ended up being like the head of video at Elite Daily, and he ended up bringing me over later.
Taking the talent.
Yeah. Poached. Yeah. But, he offered me a great opportunity there, which was being like top level, like a senior producer, and obviously more money.
Yeah.
But to really this was a very interesting phase, and I was ended up producing over 200 short form documentaries or somewhere in that area. Yeah. Tons of them, and a lot of them award winning, a lot of them viral. By the end of it, we were just like, we were killing it. We were cranking out viral content on a regular basis. You know,
what kind of awards you got under your belt?
so with that, we got my best ones are the New York Regional Emmys. I got 3 of them from
Congrats.
that job. Thank you. And then we did a bunch of Telly Awards. We got some Webby Awards, and just it wasn't really those awards. It was more just like it was the viral content. Like I would say almost on a weekly basis, we were cranking out like a 1 million view video that had all these comments, and just seeing all the engagement and the discussion being generated from a piece of work that you created was really fulfilling and rewarding and awesome. And like they were documentaries, so they were real stories. I mean, what's a real story? I'm just saying they were nonfiction. Like that came out bad. Sorry, nonfiction stories about real people.
Yeah,
and it was pretty amazing. And obviously, it kind of crossed paths with the whole Trump era thing, and how the world and the culture was changing, and political correctness, and the whole not everything we're in right now. And that was kind of I ended up getting laid off from that job because it got bought by a new company, and that new company came in and pretty much axed the majority of people on the team, especially if you were like a senior level position, because
they filled it with their people.
Yeah, they had their people. They had the new direction they wanted to go in, and then that thrusted me into this new era of being freelance, which has been ongoing since 2017.
Perfect. I want to hop into that, but I'm curious.
Yeah.
So you were in New York. Are you currently living in New York, or did you move? Okay. So.
Now currently.
Well.
No.
Okay. So when did you? Well, I guess the question I'm trying to get to is from 2011 to like 2016, like that whole time where stuff's changing, moving for you. You're doing all these different pieces of content.
Yep.
What was like living in New York like as a creative? Like, was it your spot? Were you happy to be there? Like, what was that like atmosphere for a creative?
Right. Yeah. So I lived there from 2008 to 2017. I left like August 2017. That's when I got. In the spring is when I got released from Elite Daily. I loved New York. I did love living there. I felt that I definitely beat to the rhythm of the city. I'm definitely kind of like, I move quickly. And, I had its ups and downs for sure, like any place else. I'm trying to think of where to begin. I was very busy a lot though, you know what I mean? I don't think I went out too much. I definitely had my moments where, I'd go out and do the crazy New York thing where you're out till like 6 a.m.
Well, yeah, I was curious if you had to do a lot of that for these, like, you're meeting people, you're not like, was there a lot of that in New York? Like where you're just like out constantly, like just nonstop doing stuff?
I was earlier. So when I was doing the freelance work and working for Bleacher Report, because when I was working for Bleacher Report, I had a good thing going there because I was able to go to that job, clock out, do my hours. It was a cool job, great gig. I was learning. I was becoming a better filmmaker. And then I could go and focus on my passion project. So I was still doing, like, there was a period of time in 2014 where I was just doing a bunch of sketch comedy videos. We did like, a couple dozen sketch comedy videos and just seeing where that would take me. And then that kind of all stopped when I got hired at Elite Daily, because when I got hired at Elite Daily, that consumed my life 100%. Like I was there 80 hours a week minimum. I'm not minimum, but
yeah, I know what you mean.
I was there all the time, and when I wasn't there, I was there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because I was trying to figure things out. That consumed everything for me. So I stopped meeting new people, and except for the people I was working with and doing films with, like like the subjects of the films, of the documentaries I was doing. Which a lot of these people I'm still friends with and close with today, which is pretty crazy. But so yeah, in the early years from 08 to 14, I was meeting new people and networking more, building, my network, and trying new things. And then from like 15 to 17, I was just pretty much just locked in, laser focused on just producing, shooting, and editing documentaries.
Would you recommend New York, like looking back? I know you said it was right for you, but like somebody younger starting in this field, like, is New York still the spot to be?
It's weird, man, because we live in a different time now.
Yeah.
With the digital economy, it's like you don't have to go to these places anymore because like that's kind of it's old school thinking. It's antiquated to think you have to go to a place to do something now with so much at your fingertips and being connected to the world.
So do you think somebody now in today's age can achieve what you achieved in Syracuse?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That fascinates me because I wasn't expecting you to say that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, dude, I do. I think, listen, I'll walk that back a little bit. There are more opportunities in a city like New York or Los Angeles or Atlanta or Miami or something like that. These media markets. No question. Like, there were opportunities I got in New York that I would never be able to get anywhere, let alone Syracuse or some other small city or, small town. Just meeting the right person, or there's so much going on there, like at any given point, there's so many productions and things you could get into, where in Syracuse is not so. But the thing about today that's different than before, it was like we're more connected than ever. So you can post things. We're all looking at our screens constantly, so you can reach people from Syracuse. You can be anybody. Guy, girl, anybody from a filmmaker, creator from Syracuse, and if you're making cool shit, you're gonna get recognized. And if you're consistent and you keep doing it, and you can reach people. Whereas 2008, that was not the case. It was not the case in 2008.
That's fascinating.
It is. It's interesting, and it's got me thinking differently too, because I'm coming to a crossroads again where I got to make another move. I've been like a nomad for the past 3 years. Not like I've been literally a nomad for the past 3 years.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I've been like, I don't stay in any place for longer than 3 months.
Interesting.
And, I've had the studio up at Red Brick with me and my my buddy. That's been sort of like my anchor, where I can keep my like stuff. It's like a storage place. I have an editing suite there. So when I'm not, obviously during the pandemic, traveling's and work's been much less. So I've been there, but then, I have friends in other areas where, because when I was freelancing, it was good not to be tied down anywhere and not to be living in New York, because I had to leave New York because it was so expensive, and to do what I wanted to do and take these risks as a freelancer and do projects that I wanted to do and take less money to do more things that I cared about. I had to make a sacrifice, and I couldn't. That rent there, it kills an artist. You know what I mean? So I needed to be able to move quickly too. If something came up, I needed to be able to be like, "Yep, I'm ready to go."
Gotcha. So you're doing like Airbnb spots and just kind of like going where you got to go.
Staying with friends, yeah. Couch surfing here and there. Yeah. So, but a lot of I've been lucky. Some projects I'll get like a room and board. Nice. Usually, you know what I mean? So a lot of Airbnbs.
That's
my Airbnb record and my reviews are
up there.
Yeah.
He's got 1,000 5-star reviews.
Yeah, killing it.
That's awesome. Well, I'm curious to know, because you started the episode with a discussion on like friendship and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
As you're coming up through the ranks and you're making moves and you're doing all this sort of stuff, and you're working with friends, or you're becoming friends with the people you work with, how did you manage the work and friend relationships that you started to develop or just kind of naturally came into? Like, what was that like for you? Or was there no difference between a friend and somebody you worked with when they became a friend?
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting question. Yeah, I'm trying to think of how to address that one. It's tough because, when you spend so much time doing doing your work, you're gonna be with these people a lot, so you got to be able to stand them. But yeah, it takes a team to do this stuff, man. It really, there's a lot you can do on your own in today's world and today's production, and with the resources and technology that we have. But ultimately, you need a unit, and you need people you can depend on. You need people that are ride or die, and yeah, a lot of my friends are production people, and have the similar interests, because that's what I invest all my time in. So it's like, I do have my friends that are not in the production world that are actually, I cherish those friends. Actually, it's nice to kind of get out of that, get out of your bubble and your silo for a while. But I just think it's natural that, and it's tough, man. I've had a lot of I don't want to over exaggerate, but I've had falling outs with a lot of people and rekindling, and the work and the the ego thing that goes into entertainment, because you realize that a lot of people are in the entertainment and show business for I don't want to say the wrong reasons, but the reasons that I'm not in it for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we all love the glamour and that aspect of it, and the, you know, like I said, the narcissism and things of that nature, and being adored, and you know, for your work, and like there's always that. Everybody has that, but the more I've grown, the more I've gotten older, it's never been what sustained or kept the flame burning in me. You know what I mean? And I think if that is what's keeping the flame burning for you, the flame's gonna go out.
Interesting. Now, what keeps that flame burning for you? What's that thing that's like the most inspirational that makes you wake up every day and want to chase what you're doing next?
Well, I love the work, man. I mean, it really can be as simple as that. But I've also learned it's a statement. It's a George Carlin has actually been a pretty big influence on me this year. Recently, I'm almost done with his autobiography. He did write it, his autobiography. And, you know, I've watched a lot of his bits and I'm listening to his work, and his story is very, very, very interesting and very inspiring and very relatable to me, because there was a point in his career around in the early 70s where, before he became the George Carlin that most people know him as like the edgy, you know, cynical comedian, like really, really smart on top, sees through the mist, you know. He was very mainstream and like vanilla and basic, you know what I mean? He was this kind of like funny guy. He had his partner and he was doing these clubs, and he talks about a moment he had. I think he had that moment on LSD moment where he realized like he needed to stop doing what he was doing to please people and use it to just project his ideas. And that's kind of where I'm kind of switching toward. I don't want to do anything to please anybody. Like, my motivation is not going to make a piece to please anybody or like get them to think I'm cool or get them to think I'm talented. I just want to use these talents that I've garnered for the last 20 plus years to project my ideas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's going to come at a cost. It's going to come at a financial cost. It's probably going to come at the cost of offending people. It's, you know, it's going to come at but who cares? It's like, this is what it is now. And for me, that's part of what I just want to do. I just want to keep, because I think it is, you know, art is a very powerful medium, you know, ever since the dawn of man, it's been used to, I think, you know, spread ideas, heal, and just, you know, I think entertainment's important, even as vain as it is sometimes. And like, sometimes I think it's like, I look at people who are, you know, trying to cure cancer or create cool things to clean the ocean or all the health, you know, other health achievements. And you look at me, it's like, okay, I'm making this video. Wait, what the hell?
Oh, man.
Sometimes you feel a little, but then you got to check yourself. Like, entertainment is important.
Absolutely. Well, I think this year in particular, entertainment's been a lot of, you know, it's been an escape for a lot of people, or an ability to like discover new things, right? Because like nobody's had a perfect year this year, right? Everybody's needed some sort of an escape. And like you were saying, there's obviously the gold rush on content right now, but I think it's interesting right now to think about content. Obviously you have a different lens that you look at, you know, content from, but for me, I've watched more TV this year and more movies and more visual stuff, YouTube content, than any year previously. Mainly one factor is I'm at home more, but two, there's nights where I'm coming home during 2020 and I'm scared out of my mind.
Oh, right? Yeah.
And I need a good message or something interesting or something to like kind of just bleed into, you know what I mean? And just like let it take me away.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's something pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's important. But so I don't know, man. So for me, I have two sides that I kind of grapple with. I have my fun, joking, sense of humor side that I just want to like make this content that's going to make people laugh. And, you know, in truth and humor go hand in hand. So through the humor, you can infuse some like, you know, good truth and messages. But then I also have my humanitarian side, which I do want to create, you know, content that is affecting the world in a positive way. And that was like, so I had that documentary era, which was very successful and probably some of the best years of my life in terms of like from a success standpoint. Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, so I'm thinking documentaries again. Should I do that? Is that my calling but I've had a lot of success in that sketch comedy or in that like filmmaking narrative comedy realm as well. So they're two different things, man. And it's hard to just like, I need to focus. My problem is I get too ambitious. I'm like, yes. You want to do this? Yes, let's do this. Yes. And I got to like stop.
You think you struggle with like ADD or anything like that?
Think so. I think so. Maybe.
You just don't let it. You're just like, I'm going to deal with what I got and I'm going to make it work.
Yeah. No, I'm not taking any medication. I'm pretty sober. Have a drink every once in a while. It's smoke every once in a great while. I don't really like. I definitely I've always had this weird thing with weed about like, to me, I'm one of those guys that it definitely makes me paranoid and I'm not as sharp on.
Yeah.
When I'm high, but it's whatever. It is what it is. But
you ever use it to like explore your philosophical like interests and that sort of stuff?
Well, it is a good thing. Like I'll make a video and I'll get to the point where it's like almost done, and then I'll like try to look at it high and just be like, see if like, because it does alter your perspective.
That's interesting.
It alters your perspective. Your perspective. And it's useful for that, but for me, it's probably the best use for weed is the aphrodisiac element of it. I just like, for me, if I'm smoking, I just kind of want to be with a lover. We're watching the movie and just like we're chilling, and it's like I don't need to be sharp or on point.
Kind of shut yourself off a little bit.
Yeah, like more the decompressing thing of it. But I'm pretty like I'm vegetarian.
Oh, fascinating.
So I try to. I'm a pretty health conscious person. Like at one point, like if I could have like everything if I wanted, which is because there are limitations with money and accessibility. I'd be eating mostly plant based. I'd be doing saunas regularly. I'd be doing cold plunges, exercising, meditating. Yeah. Just keeping the mental sharp.
What influenced you to go vegetarian?
A few things. So it's a combination of the environmental impact of it, the humane animal cruelty aspect of it. I don't think it's bad to eat animals at all. Like if you hunted a deer and you had a deer that you hunted in your freezer and you're like, yo, you want some venison? I'd probably be like, hell yeah, hook it up. But I just don't like to eat meat that has come from an assembly line where like a bunch of animals are shoved in a cage and they're just getting their heads chopped off, and it's like because it's just unhealthy. There's plenty of evidence to show that a plant-based diet is healthier for you. Is that the alarm? We're done. He's talking about animals.
Was that you?
That was the computer, I think. I think it was the computer. I think I had a call come into the computer. I apologize.
No, it's all good. Yeah, so it's a combination of things, and like I said, I don't think eating meat is wrong. I think I would if it's just the source. It's the sourcing of it, and it's also a health conscious thing.
Do you think you were influenced by like the creative people you're around? Oh my God.
They do not want us to talk about this topic. This topic is off limits. Censored.
Oh man. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Do you think you were influenced by the people you were around to like pursue that, or was that something that kind of naturally came up through like just exploring and?
Yeah, I've always naturally like gravitated toward keep staying healthy and longevity living, and just because I want to be the most effective I can be, and if I'm putting shit in my body that's slowing me down or making me sluggish or not making me as sharp, then I got to make those corrections. So it's more just me trying to optimize my abilities.
How do you manage that with like the nomadic lifestyle you're kind of doing?
Yeah,
because I feel like it's hard. Well, I say that as somebody who eats meat and just has my routine. You probably have your routine.
It's antithetical. It is. It's hard to, and I do. So like right now, I've been slipping. Before this, I was living in New Mexico on a ranch in a big house with one of my friends, one of my best friends, and that was like, wow. I was in top shape because I was sleeping good. I had this big room. We were literally in the mountains. Excuse me, getting a lot of sun, exercising every day, eating well. I had everything that I want. Like I was able to do all the things I wanted to do, but here I'm a little more limited. So yeah, I'll run down to Taco Bell and get the tacos with, the black bean substitute. Yeah. And okay, so I'm still doing vegetarian, but that's not healthy. Like just because you're a vegetarian doesn't mean you're healthy. Like
that's the thing. I actually tried to eat more plant-based. And I tried to go that route. And my main problem I found with it, I have high blood pressure.
Oh yeah.
So I found I was eating a lot more sodium.
Yep.
Because I was eating plant or meat alternatives, and I was just consuming an incredible amount of sodium that I couldn't battle the high blood pressure and not eating meat at the same time, or at least I didn't have the strategies or structure in place to do so.
Yeah.
And I kind of failed at that whole process.
Was it the like Impossible Burgers and things like that?
Yeah, like Boca. You know what I mean? Like the Bocas and that sort of stuff. Just everything had a little bit more salt to give it a little bit more flavor.
Yeah.
Even when you're cooking veggies and doing that sort of stuff, just to have that little bit extra flavor, you put a little salt in it. And doing the math, I was like, holy hell, I'm consuming way more salt than I wanted to.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
I'll fall into that trap, eating a lot of chips. Like potato chips, like the jalapeno potato chips. That's like my crack.
I got some ghost pepper potato chips from Trader Joe's right now.
Yeah.
Those are pretty fire.
Right.
Those are awesome.
Well, it takes a long time for your body to adjust too. Like, to a new, got something in my throat. To just like getting adjusted to not eating like a whole new diet. I think it takes like 30 days or something to start a new habit, And I do crave meat a lot though, like red meat especially after a workout. Like I was last night I did like this killer workout, and I'm walking in Wegmans and I'm just like looking at the chicken tenders, and I'm just like literally like salivating,
just drooling.
Yeah,
like a dog looking at a bone.
Yeah, so for me, but I'm not like an extremist. I'm not fanatical about it. I will eat meat, like I said, especially if if it's a convenience thing, or to me, I just like to be mostly plant-based. Like if I'm in like a 90% plant-based diet, then I think that's perfectly fine. It doesn't have to be. Nice. And I'm not eating, I just don't want my dollar going to, unethical
for sure
practices.
So kind of veering away from that a little bit, just something I have a question about.
Yeah.
As a creative, you ever find like you lose that like creative momentum or that juice? And is there like, do you have strategies to kind of like get things flowing, like get working at it? Or is it just something that's like always there for you?
No, there's definitely moments where me and my friend talk about this. I gotta get another drink of water. What the hell is going on?
No, you're good, man. Take your time. Take your time.
Yeah, but
you need a Celsius. We'll get you a Celsius.
Sponsored by Celsius. Sometimes ideas feel like the universe is just blasting them into you.
Yeah.
Terrible way to say that.
No, love it.
But it's like, me and my friend talk about this a lot. It's like, I just got to get this out of me. Like the universe is telling me to make this. And I'm starting to get better with my intuition. Me and him both are. But a lot of times I'm in projects that I need to finish, and that will come to me. Like that inspiration will hit me out of nowhere, and I can't answer the call. And that sucks. It happens to me a lot. If I'm, got my head down on a particular project, and this is I got this deadline, I got to do this, I'm in this. Nope, sorry, I got to ignore that. I mean, in a perfect world, I would just wake up every morning and do whatever that calling was, you know what I mean, and chase that. And maybe I'll get there someday, but I'm trying to give myself some bandwidth to be able to do that, so I can like make money, survive, but have that space to kind of be like, okay, I got to make this. I got to make this song, or I got to make this video right now.
And that's kind of what you're doing right now with this whole like nomadic, like jumping around sort of thing. Is that what you're doing? You're giving yourself a little bit more creative, like freedom to explore different stuff, or? Okay.
Well, that's what I've been doing the past couple of years. And I've been fortunate to be able to have that freedom to say yes to a project. Like if somebody called me up and said, hey, we need you to come to Mexico tomorrow and shoot this video, and if it sounds great, I could probably do it, or I could just say,
I was like I was like, I don't know what's going on here. I'm not exposing myself to anybody. We all quarantined or whatever.
You did the smart thing, yeah.
Yeah, and now it's like we have enough of an understanding, and
Yes, we do.
Yeah, like I know that you got temperature checked on the way in.
Yep.
Me, I got my mask on. The combination of this plus the distance plus everything we're doing here keeps us all safe.
Right.
You know what I mean? Kelv's got a mask on. We're all distanced from one another.
Yeah. And
Whereas
I've also been tested multiple times for jobs and stuff. So, and I live in quarantine. Like that's my life. I'm a video editor. That's that
basement, just like
that is like my job. Like quarantine. I've been doing this my whole life. But no, I hear you. I think that's a big thing about what we're going through. And on the way here, I've been listening to AM radio a lot.
Really?
Well, just like when I say a lot, I mean the past week, and more just like talk like and I heard them saying, and I'm listening to the local Syracuse station, and they were saying just in December they've had 35 deaths in Syracuse in December. Yeah,
that's terrible.
But like you were saying, it's like I understand the fear starting to ramp up again. It seems like we're kind of going back to March, April days where people are getting really panicky again.
I mean, the numbers. If you look at the numbers, it's pretty sketchy right now. I mean, it looks really sketchy, and I know it's a touchy topic, but it definitely feels like early March again.
It does.
Where half of everybody's like, yeah, there's no we're not changing anything again, and then the other half is like, shut everything down, which is rough, and there's there's a balance there that's right where you're keeping people safe and also like allowing people to survive, make enough money that they can survive. So it's that delicate balance right now, I think is tough, but I'll tell you what, I'm excited about that vaccine coming out soon. So I can get back to getting on a plane and doing my thing and having a conversation without masks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, going back to what you were saying, it was different in March and April where nobody knew what the hell was going on. And it was like, we need to just stay inside, lock down, let's figure this out, be really, really, really careful. But we've definitely learned and have, educated ourselves, and there are precautions we can take, and we can be considerate and, smart about this. And I think not have to shut everything down completely again.
You've traveled through this pandemic, right? So what's that process been like? I haven't.
It's been great, actually. I'll be honest with you. I've traveled. I've probably gotten on at least over 100 planes in my life. I've traveled so much for work. In the past 2 times, I traveled twice this year on planes, and it was so streamlined. Like the airport was moved. Everything was no delay because there was not a lot of people traveling, obviously. Yeah. But it was just like, wow, this is easy. No delays, no hiccups.
You mentioned everything was touchless, right? In that link.
Yeah, everything was touchless.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, just scan my face. To get on the plane, they scanned my face. And it was really, I had a moment of I had to look around and be like, am I the only one that thinks this is a little strange? Not strange, I'm not trying to get great, it's just crazy, but this is, this is a different era.
This is the future.
My face, dude. I walked up to the thing and it was just a blank screen, scanned my face, and then I saw my face come up on the screen with all my information, and I was ready to get on the flight.
That's crazy.
Whoa, dude.
You think they'll keep that post-pandemic? Was it easier?
Hell yeah. Well, I mean, it was easier. Yeah, like I said, everything was streamlined. Everything was so easy.
I feel like we're making leaps right now in technology and innovation.
Big time.
Due to necessity. Just straight up necessity that we're going to use post-pandemic that'll just make our lives better.
Yeah, and I think we can use these tools and this technology to make, and then there's obviously the dark side too, that things can get worse with that. It's like anything, you can use a tool for harm or for good,
How do you think this pandemic's going to change the film industry long term?
Movie theaters are gone. That started. When's the last time I remember I went to a movie in March. I saw the Ben Affleck film way back.
It would have to be February. It was the last time I was in a movie theater.
Big movies. The new Wonder Woman, HBO Max, not coming out in theaters.
Was it some film company just literally announced that they're doing all of their releases digital and movie theater at the same exact time on HBO Max.
It might be Warner Brothers,
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, I think I mean, everything's changing. So
Yeah.
it's like after like World War II, the movies were all had like a war tone, and then I wonder if like we're gonna go through this period where we're gonna have we've already had pandemic movies. It's not even like a new thing.
Space movies soon, maybe.
Yeah. But definitely, like, did you watch Black Mirror?
I've seen very few, but like I watched one where I think they were going into like a video game. And then in the video game, they could actually interact with one another.
Yeah, that's a great one.
I watched that one. And
the Star Trek one? No.
No, it's the fighter. It's like the Mortal Kombat one.
That, okay.
And I was like, whoa,
yeah,
this is pretty crazy. Like I said, I pre-pandemic, I didn't consume much content. So
really?
I was very much, I've been going to college now. I graduated yesterday from
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Major.
Business marketing.
Nice. Actually, I was saying that's major. Like, it's awesome. That was kind of like a double entendre.
I thought you were like major, and I was like business marketing. Oh man! So like that plus work trying to build something has definitely limited like my time.
Right.
And I've consumed more over the pandemic than I ever had previously. When I was a kid, I used to love like the Harry Potter movies. I used to go and watch them like on release night, and that was kind of like the craziest things ever got for me. Other than trying to like make skateboard videos and that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Post-pandemic, I see no reason why I'm going to I don't think I'll stop these new habits I've kind of developed where I've started watching Netflix shows and like really start to finish and like watching them over. I watched the Haunting of Bly Manor and I watched that and I literally watched it again the second time and I was just blown away the second time I watched it. Like how much I missed and how interesting it was and visually like everything that was
going on. That's a
film? That's a show. A show on Netflix.
Awesome.
It's got multiple episodes.
Narrative or scripted?
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, I think so.
It's not like a docuseries.
No. It's what's really cool is they had this series, but they also had one that was The Haunting of Hill House. Mm-hmm. Same location, same cast, completely different storyline. And just crushed them. They're both incredible.
Awesome.
So I don't know. I loved it, but I'm getting off track. Anyway.
So do you think Netflix is the platform you're consuming the most of your content off of?
I think so because I'm also pretty frugal with my money, so I don't have a lot of streaming platforms. So Netflix was that one that it's like, all right, like me, my girlfriend, my girlfriend's aunt, like my mom, like, everyone's kind of just, so it's like I have it, I pay for it.
Yep.
Whereas I'm not sure I would use an HBO enough for me like every month to pay like $12 and be like, this is worth it.
Right. YouTube? Do you get on YouTube a lot?
I'm a big YouTube guy. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Big YouTube guy. I had the YouTube Premium for a long time and then I just stopped. I stopped
You
that.
had Premium, nice.
Yeah, whatever it is. The one that allows you to like, lock your phone and keep hearing it, keep listening to it.
Yeah.
And that sort of stuff. And I enjoyed it. I think the experience is better without ads. I think the experience is better being able to lock your phone and just have it keep going.
Right.
I consumed a lot of content, visual content, just through audio.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really fascinating. And that's kind of what we're doing with this is we have the video side of this, but, we also have the complete, just audio. Yeah. But I would imagine that a lot of people that consume the video side of the stuff are just kind of listening and have this playing in the background.
Right, totally. It's interesting about YouTube and all social media, but in YouTube in particular is like, they're not in particular, but I'm just going to talk about YouTube is the algorithms they use. And I think it's like, I don't know the number, but it's a high number, maybe 80-ish% of the content viewed on YouTube is dictated by the algorithm. So, when you open up YouTube and you type in something to the search bar, that is rare for people to watch videos that way. They usually go, think about it. When you open YouTube, are you just going to your recommendations? Yeah. So this is how we've become into different modes of reality and how people are getting different silos of information. And like, it's interesting to me. I've been thinking a lot about this and listening to podcasts and researching a lot about this and just how we really don't have a shared reality anymore about what's happening in the world, because you could literally get into your own rabbit hole and you're getting fed this algorithm daily every day and you're getting this certain side of things, and then you could be talking to somebody else and be like, what are you watching? It's like, you're not, we don't have the same, it's
talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
But completely different
stories. You know what I mean? It's insane. And, but also just like, but I don't know. I think for me, the algorithm is pretty good. Like I said, for me, it'll just be like production tutorials or like philosophy videos, and I don't know. It depends. Like I can go down some crazy rabbit holes sometimes, but
you know what's fun is we started the Free Coffee podcast channel, right? Now what's really funny is if I hop on there and I use that account for a while, he uses that account. Seeing our mixed suggested is weird.
That's funny.
It's really kind of funny because you know, I'll get like poker or chess videos, I'll get like, you know, podcast recording tutorials. He's getting a whole different slew of stuff, and I hop on there. It's fascinating.
Yeah, the algorithm's probably like, what?
Like, man, this guy's got a lot of interests.
Yeah. But yeah, no, man, it's crazy how the consumption of content has changed in just 10 years. We're in this experiment of social media. It's only a decade or so, and what it's done, and it's still going, you know, it's still going to keep unraveling.
What do you think's the next progression in all of this? You got any thoughts on that?
Man, I would like, I don't feel good about this different information bubbles that we live in. I just think that leads to more split. And more aggression and more not coming to the center in terms, and so that worries me a little bit. I wish there was something good about having that one centralized information thing we used to have going on with
the gatekeeper.
Yeah, even though that could have been manipulated and as well.
Sure,
you know,
was.
Like the big rich, you know, and back in the day, you know, Rockefeller owned all the newspapers, you know what I'm saying? Or most of them. And then owning TV stations, then or owning media. And now it's been so democratized where it's crazy, you know? Yeah, you know, the whole you could just be like consuming misinformation every day and not even realize it, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty nuts to think about.
So, yeah, that kind of worries me a little bit. It's obviously... And this is all new, you know, we're in uncharted territory. So it's not like we can look back and say, well, this is how it panned out before. So
yeah, history repeats itself until like this is fresh history. This is not. Yeah, that's interesting. What's next for you in all of this, in this craziness? What's up next for you?
Yeah, just surviving right now, trying to maintain and finish my horror film, get that off my plate.
When do you think that'll be out?
Spring 2021.
Cool.
I think that's what it's looking like. And then I have, you know, some freelance projects on my plate that I'm just going to knock off over the next few months. I got to get out of debt. I bought a really expensive camera in 2018 that I'm almost done paying off. I don't even own it anymore, which is the funny thing. So I'm paying for a camera I don't even own. Sucks. So yeah, to me, it's like I'm not thinking too far ahead, and that's one thing the pandemic has kind of like had to make me lean into and realize like you can't. Who's thinking more? Like, can you really think past a month in today's age? Like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
You know, so just taking it one day at a time and trying to finish these things up. But like I said, I know I was talking about it before. I don't know. The honest answer is I do want to stick to something, though. I want to like sink my teeth into a direction and stay committed and go with that. Maybe find, you know, some people that want to like band together and like, let's do this and let's see it through. You know what I mean? And focus on that. You know, it's like the magnifying glass thing where, you know, if you keep moving a magnifying glass all over, it doesn't really get, you know, you keep it in focus. Yeah, you keep it in one spot. It gets hot, laser focused.
I like that. I like that analogy.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying. That's kind of my next thing. So I'm still just like up to my elbows and things right now. So I'm
going to take that one with me.
Yeah, take it, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
If you could go back,
right,
to younger you, let's say high school you.
Right.
And you had, 5 minutes to give some words of advice or just talk to younger you.
Yeah.
What would you say? What would you go back and kind of do?
Yeah, that's interesting. I thought about that. And you know what? I'm really into neuroscience and like neuroplasticity and how the brain develops and how it works. And I would probably tell my younger self, between up until you're 25, I don't know when it starts, but between like 9 and 25, your brain is the most malleable and can really shift and take in the most information. That's why kids can learn languages better and quicker than adults and things like that. I would probably tell myself that and to use this time and maybe some of those parties and things that I was doing, those fun things I was doing. And still, those things were great, and you definitely should do those. But like maybe not smoke weed, not drink too much until you get a little older. Like, just keep it down. Not saying never do it. Like, this isn't like me saying you should never do these things, but like, know that your brain is developing right now, and you could use this opportunity to build some cool skill sets and tools, add to your toolkit for when you're older. I didn't know that information then. It's like if I'd have known that then, I think the whole idea about trying not to create things to please people and to worry about what people think of you, and that whole glamour side of entertainment, and just to really try to be grounded a little bit more, and try to explain self-awareness. Definitely lacked self-awareness is something that I've accumulated more in my life. And floss, man. Floss your teeth. Very important to floss your teeth.
I love it.
And then I would give a little bit of positive reinforcement, saying you're doing a good job, man. You're hustling. Keep it up. Don't get too down on yourself.
I love that. We all need some positive reinforcement.
Yeah. It can't be all wagging the finger.
What last thing?
Yeah.
Last thing. Give us some content to check out. What's your favorite content out right now that you're consuming?
That I'm watching? Oh man, I've been really into It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia lately.
Okay.
I think it's one of the best TV shows ever.
Okay, awesome.
But what I'm watching, and then also my favorite podcast is Sam Harris's Making Sense.
Okay.
The best for me personally.
I've never listened to that.
Yeah, I like Sam Harris a lot. Is just as a philosopher, and he is a neuroscientist, and I think he's just really. I mean, he's got a sharp mind. It's
sick.
To put it, he also has I have his meditation app too, and he's like,
nice.
I've learned a lot through him about the benefits of meditation and how that actually changes your brain, and how you think about your attention as this spotlight, right? Mm-hmm. Anything like right now we're in this room, I can see a copy machine. You're over here. There's a light here. I got the coffee in my hand. My feet are up on the ottoman. But it's like, and that's just my little attention beam going around, and then trying to turn attention on itself. Like, where's that attention coming from? And focusing, and just, So I can't stress enough. That's my favorite podcast that I religiously listen to.
Sick. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, Making Sense by Sam Harris. I kind of stopped. I fell off Joe Rogan because he's on Spotify now, and I don't have Spotify.
Oh, really?
I got to get a Spotify guy.
I'm a big Spotify dude. I love my Warped, or whatever they called it. The Spotify Warp that you post at the end of the year, where everyone's sharing like their Spotify stats. You see that? You didn't see that?
Well, maybe I've seen it, but I'm not familiar with it because I have Apple Music.
Am I calling it the right thing, Calv? The Spotify?
I think it's called Year in Review.
Year-end review, where you like post, like all your most listened to music, and you can share it on. You didn't see that, man? It's like. It was like the biggest thing in the world for like a week.
Last week it was on like every other person's Instagram story.
Yeah.
Probably.
What is it? Is it a video?
No, it's just like screenshots. You know what?
Just like top 5 most listened to artists by hours, and then it said their total amount of time listened to music in
top
general.
Podcasts. It gives you like all your stats for the entire year.
That's cool because I'm kind of a statistical minded.
Yeah. I'm a big data guy.
Yeah, I like that. I do. Me too. I'd like to see where you're spending your hours of focus and concentration. That's interesting.
For me, it was crazy to see like how many times I played a Tory Lanez song. I was like, holy cow. This must have just been like very high on my liked songs for a long time or something.
Well, I'll tell you what, I might actually go. I was thinking about that today. I might go Spotify now that Rogan's like on there, because he has some guests that I like. I've listened to him for the last 5 years.
How crazy is that somebody can actually make you like persuade you to like switch platforms? That's why they signed that big contract.
That's why you got the Hundy Mill.
Calvin, any final words, my friend? This is your boy here.
Yeah, I mean, went well.
Awesome. This has been fun, man. Thank you for trusting us with this one. Being the first guest in the new studio. I've enjoyed this.
Studio, really?
Yeah, we literally built this out like within a month ago.
Yeah.
Now we're up to like 3 pieces of content a week. We're trying to be consistent with through 2021.
Perfect, man. Yeah, this was great. Man, off the cuff.
We miss anything in the story?
I mean, of course there'll be things I wish I would have said this, wish I would have said that, but who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, I think this was great, man. I think it was just really natural, and we had a conversation, and
awesome.
That was awesome.
I'll tell you what, you can come back. We'll do this maybe next year or 2 years from now when you got the next New York Emmy and you got the next piece. You can come in, you can hold it. So we'll do this again, man. This was a lot of fun. I really appreciate you coming on.
Consistency, man.
We got it.
Thanks, Rob. Rob Riley.
Kevin Losani. This is Free Coffee. Calvin McChesney behind the camera. Until next time, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Peace.
Peace.
Beautiful.
That was hot.